Good morning, students. Today we will have to discuss about the hormonal control in human reproductive system. In previous classes, we have discussed about the structure of the male and female reproductive system, the primary sex organ and the secondary sex organ we have discussed. Today we will have to discuss the hormonal control. Hormones are released from the endocrine gland, but certain hormones are also released from the gland, which is not only responsible to secrete the hormone, and such type of hormone is called heterocrine gland. And here we will observe, we will see that the primary sex organ, that is the ovary and the testis, both are heterocrine gland, but that will be controlled by the purely endocrine gland, that is the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. In case of male, when hypothalamus release GnRH, gonadotropin releasing hormone, and that will be secreted after getting puberty. Puberty is the age on which a human being is sexually mature. It means they are in condition to reproduce. Then GnRH will be released and that will act upon the pituitary. Here pituitary release two hormones. One is called FSH and another is called, we know that this is the seminiferous tubules having this type of germinal epithelium. It is called germinal epithelium. And this is called cell of Sertoli. Cell of, here in between 2 or 3 seminiferous tubules, certain cells are also present. It is called leading cell or interstitial cell. Now what happens? This FSH act upon this germinal epithelium and for the spermatogenesis. We will discuss later on that what do you mean by spermatogenesis. As well as also act upon the leading cell. Here you will see that the germinal epithelium, cell of Sertoli and leading cell. Different hormones act upon it. Whenever it acts upon this FSH, that is called follicle stimulating hormone, act upon the germinal epithelium, then spermatogenesis will be started. And if act upon this particular Sertoli, then what happens? This LH is called interstitial cell stimulating hormone. Interstitial cell stimulating hormone, it means this is the interstitial cell, this is called leading cell, and this LH act upon it to release testosterone. But it has also been observed that this FSH also act upon the Sertoli cells to release androgen binding protein. Accumulation of this androgen binding protein attract this testosterone to accumulate here. It means the concentration of this particular testosterone will increase inside the seminiferous tubules, and it causes, this concentration causes the conversion of the juvenile male into a fertile male. It means on that time their external genitalia become enlarged, their mustache and the other face hairs will be increased, their other dress will also be the characters which should be in the developed male will be seen, and that is called age of puberty. In addition to that, what happens? Other hormone that is called inhibin is also being secreted, and they are responsible for the action on the FSH to reduce the concentration of FSH. It means when the sperms collection is up to mark inside the sex organ of the male sex organ, then inhibin will be released from this one, and ultimately they reduce the action of the FSH. Now, what happens in the female, we will have to discuss. In female, the same thing, GnRH is also been released from the hypothalamus, and it also acts upon the pituitary to release FSH and LH. This FSH is follicle stimulating hormone, and this LH is called luteinizing hormone. FSH is follicle stimulating hormone and LH is luteinizing hormone. It has been observed, we have discussed previously, that when baby is inside the womb of the female, of their mother, their germinal epithelium become active, and they produce a number of primitive graphene follicles inside it. It is present inside it. The maturation of this particular primary graphene follicles will not be started before puberty. Whenever the puberty will take place, then GnRH will be released, and this GnRH initiate this FSH of the pituitary to act upon the oldest primitive primary graphene follicle for the maturation. It means they are not responsible for the formation of the female gamete, but they are responsible for the maturation of the graphene follicle. But in case of male, they are responsible for the formation of male gamete, that is called sperm, that is spermatogenesis. Here we will see that the maturation will be started. Now, whenever the maturation will be started, they release this maturing graphene follicle, release estrogen. Estrogen is a hormone which will be released from the ovary. Because of that, this ovary is called primary sex organ. This estrogen is responsible for the puberty and the secondary sex characters of female. Secondary sex characters of the female, that is called formation of the mammary gland or breast, that is the accumulation of the fats in certain part of the body, and that is the widening of the pelvis zone, etc. And the main thing is the starting of the menstrual cycle. What happens during menstrual cycle we will discuss. What will be the action of this particular hormones in menstrual cycle we will discuss. just we are discussing that the how this hormones act. This is the estrogen. Secondly, this estrogen also act upon the endometrial lining of the uterus. Suppose this one is the uterus, uterine wall. This one is the uterine wall, and this is the vagina. Now this estrogen act upon this uterine wall to make it very thick, vascular, very much vascular, and it is the sign that the female is in puberty and just their menstrual cycle is going to be started. Because this particular vascularized endometrium is the sign that it is ready for the plantation of the zygote or the primitive embryo. It means it will be there. Now, this thickening will be maintained by somebody else. What happens? A time will come that the maturation will be up to mark, and the ova, it is the time of the release of the ova from the ovary to the outside, and their fallopian tube receive it. Because this is the, suppose this one is the ovary, and if the ova will come here, that will be engulfed, and ultimately here the fertilization, this is the fertilization zone where fertilization takes place. What happens? The LH act upon it, and this one come out, and this is called ovulation. It means the LH is responsible for the ovulation. Now ova will come out, but certain part of that particular mature graphene follicle will still remain inside the ovary, and that will convert into a this type of structure due to lutein deposition, yellowish pigment, and that is called, it is called corpus luteum. Corpus luteum. It also releases an ovarian hormone that is called progesterone. It is called progesterone, and their main function is to act upon this particular vascularized endometrium to maintain up to the days, up to the particular days, because it has converted this particular endometrial wall into vascular part, but the vascularization maintenance is the progesterone, the work of the progesterone, and that will be maintained due to increasing the abundance of the mucus secretion to make it moist. What happens? Just I have told you that the function of this particular endometrial lining to plant that particular zygote. Suppose this will become fertilized and they have got a sperm, then it will convert into zygote, and this zygote is planted here. There is no change in this particular corpus luteum, and it is still functional till parturition, and they are in condition to release progesterone. In addition to that, other sources of progesterone is also being formed inside the reproductive system of the female, that is placenta, etc. But suppose this particular is not present here. It means ova is not in come in contact with the sperm and fertilization will not take place. Then after few days it become ghost and it start to come here. Now because it is not fertilized, so there is no chance of plantation, so there is no function of this particular vascularized endometrium, and there is no need of the maintenance of this particular vascularized endometrium. So its production will be stopped. The progesterone production will be stopped, and only this type of mark will be there which is not in condition to release progesterone, and that is called corpus albicans. Corpus albicans. This is all about this one, and time will come that due to lack of the progesterone, it become ruptured, and in addition to this particular, all will come out in form of the vaginal routine, that is called menstrual flow. This is all about the hormonal control of the hormonal system of the male and female. Suppose the fertilization will take place, implantation will take place, then prolactin is also being released, and that prolactin is responsible for the formation of the maturation of the lactic gland, that is called mammary gland, as well as the release of the milk or the formation of the milk. And in addition to this hormone, hormone oxytocin is also being released, and they are called either birth hormone or milk ejecting hormone. So this hormone is also functional, but it is functional not in the all female, but only the female which will become pregnant, and after pregnancy, at the time of birth of baby, it is functional, and at the time of milk ejection, it is functional, but formation of the milk is totally dependent upon the prolactin. That is all about the hormonal control. Yeah.